Alex Marlow joins us now. He's editor-in-chief of Breitbart News, host of the Alex Marlow Show podcast. New book, Breaking the Law, which I'm holding up a copy of right here. You can all see, by Alex Marlow. Good day to be discussing it. Exposing the weaponization of America's legal system against Donald Trump. Mr. Marlow, welcome to the program. First time. What do you think happens at this stage of the effort to both expose and maybe get accountability for the lawfare?
Gentlemen, first of all, thank you for having me. Buck and I share a agent, the great Craig Kitchen, radio legend, and I will tell you that I'm happy to talk about the book all you want, but I really just want to get on the show to tell you guys I'm out of dark roast, and I want to make sure that I can get a refill as soon as possible. So,
we got a Crockett coffee guy in the mix too. Fantastic. That's what we love to hear. Really, today everyone's calling in. We're getting a little bit of heat from some quarters here, just trying to assess the likelihood of the grand jury. The grand jury may bring down indictments. I could see that happening. I wouldn't say likely, but possible. On the Comer subpoenas, I think that's a little more of a stretch. But what do you see, not just with that, but with the whole effort to root out and prevent the lawfare that we've seen from ever happening again?
Yeah, I'm actually heartened by this. I know you guys are really terrific on social media, so you know this probably as well as anyone, that a lot of the grassroots in our movement are totally cynical now. They don't believe anything will happen. They don't believe anyone will be held to account, and the left can just get away with anything. And I feel like there is a genuine effort finally from people with actual power to hold people accountable, that maybe that's not acceptable, that maybe the way things have been my entire adult life, so long as I've been politically cognizant, where there have been two tiers of justice, maybe it's time to end. Now, do I believe it? I'll believe it when I see it. I'll believe it when I finally see the perp walks and the handcuffs. But it does feel like this effort is not fake. It feels like this is a real effort. James Comer's a good man. I trust him to try to find the actual bodies if they're buried somewhere. And I think that we're off to a good start. Tulsi Gabbard as well, I think, takes this really seriously. She's fearless. So I think there's some real opportunity. Of course, you'd be wrong if you don't your doubts that Pam Bondi can bring in the goods at this point. But I'm happy to give her a shot, and I like energy. The energy is very good, and it's going to keep the base engaged.
Okay, so what happens if that doesn't occur? Right? So one of the challenges that I think exists in all of public life, and thanks for coming on with us, and you have great taste in coffee, is what do we do when it comes to promises made, promises kept, right? And when you overpromise, and I think there's no doubt that Pam Bondi, when she gave out the Epstein files, phase 1 or whatever it was called, to the influencers, she overpromised. I think she overpromised when she did the interviews with Fox News about what was on her desk, the files, and what they were going to reveal. My concern here is if you say, hey, we're opening a Russiagate investigation, we're bringing in a grand jury, we're impaneling, a lot of people expect to see handcuffs, they expect to see arrest. Is there a danger of overpromising and under-delivering with this particular story?
Absolutely there is, and the Pam Bondi Phase 1 rollout, where she kind of humiliated all of those influencers coming out of the West Wing of the White House who were holding up the binders as if they had gotten some sort of a participation trophy. Like that was really terrible. She set those people up to look really bad, and I think that hurt her a lot. And I think that she's got to be super careful not to do that again, and it's sort of an unthinkable mistake. It's pretty mind-blowing that happened, and it does make you lose some faith. But I'll tell you, as a civilian, as a media guy like you guys, I just want people engaged. I think that this is a long game, and if we're playing this over a decades-long horizon, creating that civic engagement and creating that climate of fear for the left, that you cannot break the law, you cannot violate the public trust, you cannot use your power to try to nefariously carry out unjust political means. And if you do, you're going to be you could get indictments, you're going to get tied up in legal chaos, your life is going to be a living hell. I think that that's a positive development, and it will get people motivated to stay engaged civically, go to the polls, and keep voting out the bad guys. So I think the worst-case scenario here is actually pretty good. The best-case scenario, the perp walks and the handcuffs, I would love to see it, but even if we don't, I still think this is positive culturally.
Tell us a bit about what you lay out here in the book. You've got broken scales, the trial that never should have happened, the woman. Is it mostly a deep dive into the lawfare that has happened, or do you get into more of the blueprint of the counter revolution, if you will, the counter strike?
Yeah, so basically I start with a brief history of lawfare, and I trace it back to Franklin Roosevelt, who wanted to pack the court with more Supreme Court justices so that he could use that as an extra executive branch. And I trace it to Roe v. Wade, which was really the first big lawfare moment where a far-left court took the most hot-button issue of all hot-button issues and took it out of the realm of debate and put it into the realm of civil rights. It led to a massive boom in abortions and was really sort of unprecedented. And then I take it to Joe Biden, who really is the godfather of modern lawfare, with his borking of Robert Bork and the failed high-tech lynching of Clarence Thomas, to Obama and Holder and what they did to try to target conservative groups using the law instead of trying to uphold law and order in their streets. But the centerpiece is a deep dive on the 6 major cases against Donald Trump, and I trace the coordination all the way to the White House. In every single instance, the White House was involved in the lawfare against Donald Trump, no doubt in order to try to subvert our democracy and rig the 2024 election. I think it's arguably the scandal of the century, and it's getting paid no mind right now. And hopefully this culture where we're revisiting the Russiagate hoax, we're revisiting some of the horrible things that were done to President Trump in the past, we have to add this to the list, because if the left had their way, they would have rigged the 2024 election using the lawfare, and it was the Biden White House that was doing it.
I'm glad you brought this up, because I actually think the most significant aspect of the 2016 story is the lies that they told in 2016 about Russia collusion allowed them to dismiss everything having to do with Hunter and Joe Biden and the laptop as all the hallmarks of Russian disinformation. If 2016 hadn't happened, the lies they told there would not have allowed what I think was the even more consequential lies they told in 2020 to take root. I do think that is significant. So I want to get your take on that. Second part of this, what does the future look like for intelligence? This is what Buck and I were just talking about. Buck obviously has a great deal of expertise on this. But where do we go from here? Because I think there are a lot of people out there saying, hey, I agree with you on everything 16, everything 20, but I'm concerned about what's going to happen in 28 and 32 and 36 going forward. How do we make sure that it isn't one long replication of what we saw happen in 16?
Yeah, they connect, and I'm really glad, Clay, that you made this connection, because I haven't even had a chance to make this connection, and we're just starting to do press for the book, comes out today. So but this is a point I've been trying to get out there, which is that the lawfare in the run-up to 2024, where the party in power tried to stop the standard bearer of the other party from becoming president by jailing him and bankrupting him, that was only possible because they got away with everything in 2016. They believed they were untouchable. They believed that they could do such blatant coordination is having the top players in district courts go to the White House to meet with White House attorneys clandestinely in the middle of a trial, and the establishment media would say nothing about it. It would come and go in the news in 2 minutes if it even got there at all. You had people like Jack Smith, who operated illegally. He was an illegal appointment, and he was allowed to operate for 18 months with the full support of the U.S. government. It was an unconstitutional appointment. That was only even attempted because they got away with bloody murder in 2016. So if we let them get away with it again, 2016, 2020, 2024, of course we should be very cynical that things are only going to get worse in 28 and 2032. And to your point about the intelligence, that's why the people who are the bad actors need to live in fear that if they're going to try to subvert our democracy and to use our intelligence agencies to subvert an American political party, the right, instead of doing their job and trying to protect our country, then they're going to have massive consequences. And to this point, they've had none.
I think that's the super important part about this.
The book, Breaking the Law, the author, Alex Marlow. He's a New York Times bestseller. Go check out Breaking the Law. And Alex, thanks for being with us.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you again.
No doubt, and a huge part of the continuing impact. I was watching Bill Hemmer today on Fox News. He is over in Gaza doing really good reporting about exactly what is going on in Israel as we hopefully move towards what we want to be a ceasefire that eventually ends in far less death and danger for everyone in the Middle East. And that is what the IFCJ is trying to make happen every single day. They build bomb shelters in Israel to try to protect innocent people from being killed when there are all of the rockets being fired into Israel. I saw for myself the work they do to build these shelters and the impact they have. Danger remains prominent and filled with trepidation. If you live in Israel, any given moment, you could have to run, hop in a bomb shelter, many of which have been provided by the IFCJ. You can stand up on behalf of Israel and its citizens to keep them safe by going to 888-488-IFCJ. That's 888-488-IFCJ. You can also go online to ifcj.org. That's the International Fellowships of Christians and Jews, ifcj.org.